Hey everybody, thank you for joining us. This is another pre-recorded episode of the Jocular Junction. So if you're watching live on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific, this is a premiere instead of a live recording, which might work better in general. I'm trying to figure it out, just with my schedule and things like that. This is the 4th of July weekend, and I am being a solo parent as my partner is out doing exciting things, and I just needed to stay home and make sure that everyone was well fed and taken care of. So that is what I'm doing, which causes a problem for me doing the shows on Saturday morning, and hence this is where we are today. But we're going to press on. We're going to talk about the ENNIES and the new PHB 2024 videos that are coming out, which, because of the 4th of July weekend, there was only 2 videos last week. And then next week, it looks like we're going to get the Monk, the Sorcerer, the Cleric, the Bard, and then new dragon designs, which I don't have this in my notes, but I thought I saw something that there were some new dragon designs being leaked out to a few websites. So keep an eye out for those. Those might be coming out soon, if you are the type of person who cares about new dragon designs. So the videos are continuing for 2024. The last one, the larger one, was spells. And it looked mostly like they were just talking about, I don't know, just spells in general and quality of life changes. A takeaway that I thought was interesting is Jeremy Crawford said that he was influenced by playing Baldur's Gate 3 and being like, wow, Produce Flame does not work how I want it to work. And I thought that was kind of interesting because it's like, do you not playtest this? and how that experience is what transformed him to be like, we should make this spell better. So with some of the new spells, I'm excited to see how they will work. Things like Blade Ward or True Strike, making them actually useful in certain situations, especially with the Eldritch Knight able to cast a cantrip in replace of one of their attacks, which is something the Bladesinger could do, but something that when I played an Eldritch Knight, I desperately wanted the ability to do that, because there were so many fun spells like Lightning Lure. I could lightning somebody and pull them towards me, and then I wanted to hit them. I just thought that was a fun combo that was not able to be accomplished with Eldritch Knight how it was currently written. So we'll see. They didn't mention anything about Counterspell. I think it was the last video they talked about Counterspell a little bit. I'm still skeptical. I don't like it. So we'll see if it makes it fun. I think I would like Counterspell to be something that is wizard only, and you can try to counter a spell if the opposing wizard is casting a spell and you have the same spell prepared. So if the opposing wizard tries to cast Fireball and I have Fireball prepared, I can be like, oh, I know that. I'm going to try and cancel it out with my Fireball. I think that's how I want Counterspell to work. Again, this is not play tested or anything, and we'll have to wait for the 2024 rules to really understand. As of right now, I just don't have a lot of people in my games that are taking Counterspell, and that makes it fine for me, and I'm happy about this. So the other sneak peek, which was very short, is about crafting. And it's interesting to me because they are putting crafting in the PHB and not the Dungeon Master's Guide, is what they specifically said. But as they are going along with it, you're basically going, now that you have these proficiencies in tools, like I'm proficient in blacksmith tools, or I'm proficient in masonry tools, or herbalists and things like that, you're going to be able to use those to some effect. And so that makes sense, and that's probably why it's in the PHB, because it's like, if you take this herbalism route, you can also make like healing potions, or you can make, anti-venom potions or something like that. So I like this. I think it could be cool, especially with the rogue. There's like a poison route for the rogue, and I thought that was kind of interesting. So making it a little more useful than just, I'm proficient in it. What can I do with it? So, and again, these are all coming next week. It seems like we're getting the full barrage of it. And then I believe I don't know what we'll hear about the next week after that, but the book's coming out fast, so. We're going to talk about Ennies. So the 2024 Ennie nominations came out a couple days ago, and the voting will open July 12th. So if you're not familiar with the Ennies, what they do is they get like a certain amount of judges, and these judges read a bunch of stuff, but really it's their picks. They're just like, I really like this, and I really want this, and they all kind of collaborate and read. All of the judges share their picks with one another, and then they decide on an ultimate list going forward for these are the nominations for the Ennies. So I shouldn't say the tricky part, but what I was going to say is like, you have to be on the radar of the judges more so than on the radar of, just popular things in general. So being on the radar for judges is, I think, really important, but is very important, but it is difficult to do because I don't get to choose. I think there's a voting system to get to be a judge or be on it. But like, I've noticed in the past that there are people that are like, man, I really like this YouTuber, or I really like this person, and I feel like they contribute a whole bunch. And so, or I listen to this, actual play podcast, or I really like the layout of this book, and they fight back and forth. I shouldn't not fight, but like they argue back and forth about like, well, I like it, I don't like it, and then it eventually gets on there or it doesn't. So you have to have somebody to kind of fight for you to make it onto the Ennies. And then once you're nominated, once you're on this list that we're going to talk about, you are able to go out, and then the internet votes for you. So now it's a cool way of being like, oh, I didn't really know what that was. This looks really cool. I'm going to check it out. And then the public gets to vote on who actually wins. And so that aspect, I do like it, but the nominating thing seems very difficult because if you don't have an in, I don't know how you get on the list. Like, unless you're friends with a judge or something, or you've made something so spectacular. But like, I've never seen Cairn on there being nominated. I've never seen Skate Wizards. And then there was the year that somebody who was writing Radiant Citadel, and they were just like, well, I'm really proud of this book. So that book got a lot of nominations, even though it was a WotC book. And everyone was like, are WotC books allowed to be nominated? Like, I didn't think so. But it was like, it was nominated because somebody, as a judge, really liked Radiant Citadel. Like they knew the people that worked on it. They really liked it. So I don't know. But voting will open on July 12th, and it'll run through July 21st of the 2024. And I wanted to talk about a few standouts that came to mind for me. And actually, I should find the Ennie nominations page first. Okay, so here we are with the 2024 nominees. There's Judges Spotlight, which I think this was just like judges. The judges are the people who are putting nominees here. And I think there was a couple of them where they're like, I just really like this. I want to put it out there. So I believe that's what this is like a particular judge wanted to put something that they know is really good, regardless of the rest of the judges. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. An interesting one here is that there is a Power Rangers G.I. Joe Transformers crossover book that is kind of funny by Renegade Studios. I just thought it was interesting. And then this obscure, the found footage horror RPG looked fascinating to me. I don't know anything about this. I thought it looked really cool. So this is something that I might check out. I'm not really into like horror, but I like interesting design, and some of these pictures and stuff looked really cool. So a found footage inspired horror RPG. I just like the idea of that. So going down, best long form, which is like longer campaigns, I'm assuming. Some of them look really cool. The Bloom looked interesting to me, which I don't know anything about this other than it's a module for liminal horror. And I swear, guys, I'm not actually that much into horror, but it looks interesting. But yeah, so what are the other standouts for me? Gods of the Forbidden North. This was nominated for a few things, and it is not loading, but oh my gosh, my loot is in another cave. There we go. So this is for Old School Essentials, and that's why I thought it was really cool. So this is going to be a 3-volume set eventually. The first volume, I believe, is the only one that is out right now. So they're working on volume 2, and it's a Norse god Old School Essentials module, I guess. Not even module, like campaign, just like big campaign. And so 14 reviews, and it's like mostly 5-star, and I think that's really cool. So I'm very curious about this now because I love Old School Essentials, and I want to see it played in a longer form campaign, and I think this could be really cool. And I don't know, it looks really interesting. So, and it was nominated for not just let's go and look at, is it this one? Yeah. So Gods of the Forbidden. So it was part of the judges spotlight, and then I thought it was like again later. Forbidden North, is it just the one? I guess it is. Anyway, so that looked really interesting to me. Another one is One Shot Wonders. So I got a preview of this book for Free RPG Day. I just think it's a really cool idea. And the cover is very playful. And so I don't know. I don't know anything about this really, other than I think it looks cool. So to have like 100 different little one-shot ideas with NPCs and stats and all this other stuff, I think that's a fun idea. So One Shot Wonders is on my list of things to check out. Empires of the Silk Road by Metis Media, they've sponsored a couple videos on the main channel, and they make just the most beautiful stuff. It's a team out of Turkey that like is making Middle Eastern Dungeons and Dragons, but they're so articulate about it, and like it's just beautiful art with a living history, not like a fantasy history, but kind of a divergent history. And I think it's really cool. So Empires of the Silk Road, beautiful. And one of the nominations is the album that they came out with. So this was, there's Best Adventure Short Form, Best Aid and Accessory Digital. Yeah, so Historica Arcanum, just a soundtrack to like inspire you. And I was like, that's really cool. So I like that a lot. I looked at some of these other ones and I don't know them very well, but there's a digital version of the Zone RPG that I want to try out. I'm interested in that. And then another one is Hexcrawl Toolbox. So this is from Games Omnivorious, who makes very interesting stuff. And if you are familiar with some other things that I've done, or things that I've reviewed, they made Ship in a Bottle and Shifting Sands, I think it was called, which was the same thing as this. It's a hex tile set, but it kind of had like a story around it. And so the Shifting Sands was, or Undying Sands? Maybe it was Undying Sands. So I think it was Undying Sands. So that you use hexes to build a desert and then you explore it. And I thought that was really cool. And then the Ship in the Bottle one was the exact same thing, only it was water. Super awesome. The Hexcrawl Toolboxes, they're like, this is actually just a cool idea. So they made like a jungle and a grass set and a water and a desert set, and they combined it all. And so this is like 150 modular hexes of cardboard that you can like move around and put in all these different ways. And so really a really cool idea for like a dungeon master kind of thing. And then you have like interesting things to find, like looking at this, there's a temple and there's pyramids and things like that. So I don't have this product specifically, but I love Games Omnivorious, and they make just really interesting things. So Undying Sands was what it was called. Haha, I was right. Shifting Sands, all Shifting Sands you. They also, unrelated, but they have interesting things like Games on a Record, which I have one of them. And it's like a game, and then the soundtrack kind of goes along with it. And I thought that was really cool. So, yeah, definitely check out Games Omnivorious. Oh, and then Shadow Dark. Of course, Shadow Dark won a bunch of stuff. Not won, nominated for a bunch of stuff. But we have, I think Shadow Dark was up here for, no, Best Aid Accessory, Best Cover Art, Best Art Interior, Ultraviolet Grasslands 2E. Luca, yeah, he's an amazing artist, and I really like Exalted Funeral Press did Ultra Grasslands 2E. I have the 1E version, very good. So I'm excited to see that on there, and I totally understand why. Cartography, the Alien RPG, and the Dragonbane core set I thought was kind of cool. And then again, Hexcrawl Toolbox by Games Omnivorious. Community content, which is a great category that I think needs more just to be uplifted. It's kind of fun. And so we have a lot of Miskatonic repository and some DMs Guild stuff. So best to check that out. Best family game, my friend bought If I Were a Lich Man, and I have not read it yet, but I'm curious about that one. Free product, the Mazes Zero Prep introduction is pretty cool, and I have some Mazes stuff coming in the mail, and I wanted to try that out. Best game, Salvage Union and Shadow Dark, and then best layout, Shadow Dark. So yeah, let's go back to my picks. So Shadow Dark, obviously, for best game. Salvage Union is a mech RPG that looks just really pretty. And I love that it's a workshop manual. It's a, what did this say on the front? Yeah, workshop manual. So it's the aesthetic of this is very cool, and the art's really cool, and I think it's awesome. I don't own this. I believe Lucian does, and he was saying how much he liked it. So definitely want to check that out. Friend, that I haven't met in real life, but YouTube friend Dave, he was nominated for his YouTube show. So definitely I'll put a link down below. You should check out Dave's channel. He reviews RPGs, but he just reviews interesting RPG content. And so like, I think the latest one was, Hell of a Town, which I didn't know anything about, but it's kind of like Roger Rabbit, the RPG, mixing, or like Cool World, mixing like a Toon world with a real world and how they interact with each other. I really enjoy his reviews and stuff. So it looks like he covered Lancer and things like that. So definitely check out Dave. My connection to the internet is not doing well. And then the last standout to me was RPG stamps by Weirdworks. So this is just like a supplement thing, like an RPG accessory, but it's really fun. And I actually have this Cause of Death one up here in the corner. And I love this. Like whenever I play Dungeon Crawl Classics and we have somebody die, I like to use the Cause of Death stamp and be like, you died, you're done. But yeah, we have the You Have Survived stamp. We have the Quest Complete stamp. So if your players are into kind of I don't know, this really works for Dungeon Crawl Classics, but like I think a lot of retro clones, this could be a lot of fun to have. This is a Goblin Curse stamp, a You Survived stamp. So it looks like they're expanded, Quest Complete kind of a thing. A Wizard's Spellbook. So I don't know. I really like that. I thought it was fun. It's a fun idea. And the Cause of Death stamp was my original, but it looks like they were making a whole bunch. So I love it. Crowdfunding, this was from last week, but Caverns of Thracia is still going out. I haven't had any crowdfunding things pop up to me specifically. In the terms of crowdfunding, or things that I've received, I finished reading Monty Cook's The Cipher System. Very excited about that. And I read through the whole book because I kind of just wanted to absorb it. I knew the rules from Numenera, but I wanted to see like, what did Cipher do for me? And it's interesting because it is like, you have to make your own world. They're like, we're not going to hold your hands kind of a thing. So then I started reading It's Only Magic, and it's fun to see how that book utilizes the Cipher system for you to create the type of game you want to play. So I like that a lot, and I'm almost done with It's Only Magic, and I did not think about this, but I think because I love fantasy-based worlds, I'm gonna buy Godforsaken, which is their like medieval fantasy version of the Cipher system, and I want to see how that interacts with the Cipher system book. A lot of the other ones, like there's ones that are for space and things like that. If I was going to do a space game, I might play all of the other ones I have. Like I might play well, I might just play Numenera, but I might play like Mothership, or the Alien RPG. Like that's the kind of like scary space I want. But I'm curious. I'm just knowing that I play mostly fantasy RPGs. I'm curious how Monte Cook will handle fantasy when it's presented as here's magic, not the Numenera route where like magic and technology are kind of similar. So that is what I've been reading. As far as designing and writing, I cleaned up the modular D6 PDF a whole bunch, and I put a new version out on the Patreon, which I believe is 6.4. So I actually have notes on the end that are change notes, like a change log, to just be like, what did I work on this time? And I said last time that I was going to be working on spells, and so I got a list of like open source spells, which are just Creative Commons or SRD version spells, mostly from Dungeons and Dragons, because I can utilize those free of charge with a lot of other things. And I don't want to take the wording for them, because the wording will not work for my game. But the idea that we have this vernacular of like, you know what knock does. The spell knock is we just kind of understand what knock does. And generally in the OSR kind of world, there seems to be like, here are the base spells. And so that's kind of what I took, and I was looking at how to tweak them for my game. But it's fun for me because I was taking a Cairn approach, where I like how Cairn does this, where traditionally there's like a spell called Fireball, and when you cast Fireball, it does this. But I don't necessarily want that for modular D6. If you want to do a lot of like fire magic and destroy things, I want you to be able to cast fire magic and then augment it by making it a blast or changing its radius or making it a cone, and that's where Burning Hands comes from. So you kind of create your own version of Fireball through the modules that you pick. But if it's a spell, I want it to have like an effect. So Fireball versus Fly is the best one I could think of at the moment, where you cast Fly and it does this for a set amount of time, and you fly and you're good. You know, you cast Knock and it will either help you unlock a door or it unlocks it if it's a simple enough challenge. I like that. Whereas offensive magic, like I want to cast Chain Lightning, that is a way of you manipulating elemental magic to do harm and interesting things when you're in a fight. But if you're just casting a spell, it should have like an effect. And Cairn handles spells that way. So if you are casting Teleport, that's what it does. You've now utilized that teleport. You have to wait for a long rest or something to get it back. And if you cast Fly, or if you cast Levitate, or I don't know, Sanctuary, things like that, like this is what it does. Magic Circle, I guess, like that's kind of a thing. And piggybacking on that, I want ritual magic to be a thing in modular D6. So not only are there spells I can learn, but maybe there are weird 12th level spells that I'll never be able to cast by myself. But if I can get like, 6 of my friends to stand in a circle and we can perform this ritual for 8 hours, we'll lower the difficulty, and then we're able to cast this spell. And that, from like a spell collector wizard, which I feel like I am. I always want to get all of the spells and copy them in my spell book because I like that idea of like collecting spells. It's the Pokemon trainer in me, maybe. That's a direction I want to go. And then I was also kind of linking in a lot of the charisma stats to being, what if you took your charisma as your main attribute in modular D6? How are you offensive with charisma attacks? And so I was really muddling that over a lot when I was building the new version of modular D6. Still haven't gotten a chance to playtest, but I was talking to Lex and some of my online friends, and I think we're gonna organize like just a basic dungeon walkthrough to make sure that I know, to make sure that things are working as expected, and then I will extrapolate on that further. So that's kind of what I'm doing in the designing writing sphere and what have you. And then last but not least, my home game, which is, it was a weird one. So we did Plangia 5e, and my players said they had a lot of fun. From my perspective, it felt weird. I was improvising a lot more than I wanted to because I knew the direction I wanted to go, but I didn't plan out a lot of stuff. So it felt like last minute. I'm like, I don't know, you're going to fight oozes. We'll do this. It'll be fun. And like I said, they said they had fun. I left the session being like, wow, I messed that up. Like that was not good Jordan DMing, and it should have been a lot more. So lesson learned in the future, I think I want to craft the experience a little bit more. And, I want to do here you have an obstacle before you get to your final destination. So if they know where they want to go, which they want to find these statues, these divine ivory statues that belong to their god, if they go down that route, then I want them to be like, okay, you come to, I don't know, an underground lake, and the ping for the divine ivory is at the bottom of the lake. How are you going to approach this? Or if you come this way, I want you to have an obstacle. And I think that was the letdown from the last game is I was like, and you arrive and it's kind of weird and there's like a monster to fight. So they ended up fighting a dragon blood ooze that I found from one of my many monster books that I thought would be a fun thing to fight. It turned out to be a little bit too easy, and I had to like make things a little more difficult on the fly. And again, I don't want to do that in the future. I want to be like, here's your obstacle, and if they bypass it very quickly, that's fine. But I want to know what it is rather than trying to just come up with it kind of on the fly, which usually I enjoy doing things like that. But I don't know, ran out of time. Need to prep a little bit more in the future. So now that I have this weekend off from playing Gia, next Saturday we're going to play, and I'm going to try and focus on that and things like that. So, but like I said, I'm being dad, and we're hanging out and playing with sparklers and fireworks, and it's a lot of fun. So that is what I'm working on. Again, thank you guys so much for watching and listening to this Jocular Junction show about tabletop RPG news and my various thoughts on design and things like that. I've got a couple of new podcasts that I'm also listening to, which if they turn out to be amazing, I will share them here with you. I've got a couple of other games with Lex that were in the backlog that I'm now getting around to editing, and I'm going to be putting them out there. So be sure to subscribe on this channel for all of the fun things that we're going to be doing. There will be a new video out on Tuesday, and if you are a YouTube member, you already have access to that video. So thank you guys so much for becoming YouTube members and basically sponsoring this content that I get to do. If you're on the Patreon, you have access to a bunch of my modular D6 stuff as well. So I want to say thank you guys so much for, just sponsoring and being awesome and supporting the work that I do. I'm going to be doing a lot more reviews of OSR / Old School Essentials material. And DCC. I've got a DCC video in the works for some magic items that I discovered, a fun zine that I bought. And that will be here on the Jocular Junction. And then over on the main channel, which is just Jordan with a PH in the middle, I've got some more future lore stuff that I'm interested in covering. So I'm going to be doing a couple of videos on that. So stay tuned. And of course, I think a lot of the 5e channels are going to blow up like crazy when more 5e content comes rolling out. So please stick with that. Make sure you watch all of those 5e things. I'm going to be covering as much as I can with my schedule. But yeah. And with that, I will bid you adieu. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.